right? This is what Ezekiel said. It's almost like it's the same message. And when we come to the New Testament, it's like, hey, look, we're still like this. We're still like this. And by the way, we can write a new passage today and just look out in the world and how many people complain. You ever watch the news? How about this? You don't think this is how people really are? I challenge you to go stand outside the gate of a high school as school is getting out. Their throat is empty too. Their tongue, they practice deceit. There's poison of the asp under their lips. That's not even a place for you? How about you just go by any place where man works? And or you don't like to be around people, you don't want to do that experiment. Maybe you know that people really talk like this, act like this, are this, apart from a church building, although sometimes even in the church building, right? How about this? You turn on the radio and you listen to some music. It doesn't matter the station, you'll find something. And then what happens with all that? Well, people get bitter. They say all the wrong things. They put other people down. That's cursing, by the way. They wish bad things on people they disagree with. And then, right, they want to protest. Why? Well, because their feet are swift to shed blood. We can't just treat other people with dignity. I mean, it would cost us nothing. It'd be really easy. And the more we did it, the more we'd be able to do it. But we can't do it. Why? This is the problem. This is who people are. And we don't understand it because we try to move away from it, right? But also we don't understand it because we don't have fear for God. Right? And then we get to the last couple of verses, and this is where it ends, kind of. Right? This week, this is where it ends this week. Kind of. But this is the best part, right? Paul says this with conclusion. He says, we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law. That every mouth may be stopped. That all the world may be guilty before God. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, no flesh will be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. What did he say? You made rules because you break rules. The only reason you have rules is because you already knew you were wrong. So when you look at the law, it's almost like God came along and he was like, look, you have the right to remain silent. What you lack is the ability to remain silent. Right? Sometimes you should just be quiet. He didn't say it quite like that, but that's kind of what's going on here. Stop talking. Right? Adam, why are you hiding? No, it's not my fault, it's your fault, it's my fault. Adam, yeah. You should have been listening, looking for the out. But no, you weren't. Why? Because you're trying to use rules, trying to use a legal argument, trying to get around it. You're trying to make your good outweigh your bad. Right? And then Paul comes along and he's like, well, anything you say can and will be used against you. No, but what I was saying was the good stuff I did. Right. Yeah, that's going to be used against you because you didn't always do good stuff. Well, what if I just talk about all the times I told the truth instead of talking about the time that I told a lie? Good. It's actually an addition of guilt then because you understood the difference. Is that what they say? Right. And along the way, he's like, so look, just doing good is not going to get you there. It's not going to get you there because you already did bad. In fact, your nature is evil. That's what we read from the beginning. No one's good. Who's no one? I like the idea of this. No one's good. It's like sometimes, right? I've experienced sermons like this. I disagree. But sometimes when you read the Bible's like no one or everyone. It doesn't really mean that. It just means the audience. Paul's like no one's good. And then he anticipates this argument that people like to make. Well, when he says no one, he doesn't mean no one. No one in history, never. Well, that doesn't make it right. He's like, no, not one. That's the standard. When you look into the perfect mirror of God's liberty, right, what do you see? The law is only here to tell you you're guilty. In fact, I can actually prove this biblically in the conversation that was had that gave the original law. God took a people and he said, look, I want to be your king. I want to be your husband. I want to be your provider. And all that I ask of you is that you love me. And they're like, well, just tell us what to do. Because I just told you, just love me. No, but tell us what to do. And God's like, look, if I do that, you won't keep it. But that was the conversation. And so they know to just make us some rules. So I said, okay, I'll come down and I'll meet with you and I'll tell you the standard. And when God came down, they're like, oh, yeah, we're not going up there. Moses, go talk to him because he'll be mad at us. You know what they knew already? We're already wrong. Go talk to him and then you come back and tell us what he said. And Moses went up the mountain, and I believe this actually was happening all at the same time. I think Moses went up there, and it's small talk with God. God, show me your face, and God's like, here you go. And then, right, and it wasn't exactly like that, paraphrasing. And then so it went on like this. And then God started writing the tablets of the law. When God left the part, you may have no graven images or idols. Right? While he was doing that, they were making a graven image and an idol. Out of gold, though, so it would be valuable. And then they started to pray to it. It's like, shiny, shiny golden cow. Make me rich. The cow's like, well, if you had to give up all your gold to make me rich, it'd probably be okay. Right? But whatever. Actually, it didn't answer because it was gold. Gold can't answer you. Right? And all this stuff happened. That's what people are. The rules only told them they were guilty, but they already knew they were guilty because they were guilty. We already knew we were wrong when we were wrong. We just wanted to be wrong. This is true for everyone, by the way. Right? Like, you get it, right? When you were in the world and you were doing the worldly things, you knew the worldly things were wrong. You just didn't care. Is it right to take someone's stuff? No, but, right? I'm not taking their bike. I'm just riding their bike home because I don't have transportation. Right? If they happen to come by, I threw it in the front yard, they can get it back.
Well, I heard from some high-profile preachers like
That's it. Right? And so what we got, we finally get to this part where we get to Romans 3, 19 and 20, and this is what he's like, look, every mouth should be stopped. The whole world will be accountable to God. That's the deal. Stop making excuses for what you're doing wrong. So when you go and witness people, by the way, this is what Paul is doing. He's witnessing through a letter. When you go and witness people, this is what we tell them. Well, I'm basically good. You're basically not. Well, yeah, I am. I mean, I do lots of good stuff. I go out and I volunteer. I work in the kitchen. Right? That by itself is he who wants to eat soup every day. So, we do that in soup eaters. I'm just saying, sometimes you gotta mix in maybe, like a stew or, I don't know. At the end, it becomes goulash anyway, right? Like you just throw it all in together, add some rice and some noodles, right? It's whatever. It's what was left. Anyway, and then you still call it food, but, right? This is the verdict. The verdict is that everyone's guilty. Well, people are like, what about all the good that I do? Fine. What about all the bad that you do? I don't do any bad. Ever. Ever. You never done bad. You ever told a lie? Well, not since I was little. That wasn't really the question. That was it. The question was, have you ever told a lie? You ever taken something that didn't belong to you? Maybe an accident, right? Like, maybe you asked someone if you would borrow a paper clip, and you stuck it on your papers and went home with it. Were you intending to give that paper clip back? No, you were not, right? But you said borrow, but you lied, and then you stole. It sounds really simplistic, but when you tell a lie, what does that make you? A liar. And when you take stuff that doesn't belong to you, what does that make you? A thief. So you're a liar and a thief. Let me ask you a question. You ever been watching something, you've been around somebody, you ever heard something that made you really mad at that person? Maybe there's a group of people that you really don't get along with, and you're like, I hate them. You ever done that? Because you're so good, right? Like that's the standard, and they don't live up to your standard, so you were really upset. Yeah, that's called murder in your heart. Right? I mean, just because you're too cowardice to pull it off, right, doesn't mean that you weren't trying inside. So far, what do we got? We got lying, thieving, murder. Congratulations, good guy. Right? What does that mean? It means you're guilty, and you're guilty for each and every one of those things. Now, we didn't go through all the rest of them, but there's more. Did you love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Did you put God above everything? Did you give everything that you were, everything that you have, everything that you will be to the glory of God? Did you work it out that way? Were you trying to enjoy Him? No? Okay, well, you only broke the first tab of the law, and then all the second tab of the law, and that's all the law was there for, was to show you that you couldn't keep it. You're guilty. So you need a solution. You should look for one. See, that's the deal. The law silences us. When we really get in and look at it, Spurgeon says, he says, the law is the storm that drives us to the harbor of Christ. That's what it should be. The law is not the ladder to climb to heaven. It's the mirror to show us our sin. Paul was making this claim early on in Romans, and that's what he was saying. He's like, but you say they're guilty because they don't have the law, but also you're guilty because of the law. Like, this is the deal. All it did was show you that you're not perfect. Paul Washer warns, he said, if you add any work to grace, you destroy grace. You're like, yeah, but I did all this good stuff. No, you didn't. Your best works, according to God, are as filthy rags. The best you have is nothing. And what you have that you didn't receive, and if you received it, why do you boast? Look how smart I am. You're not. You're not. Well, I think that people need an intellectual argument. I got to learn all this stuff because people need an intellectual argument in order for me to share the gospel with them. No, they don't. It's the power of God, of the gospel. The power of God is in the gospel. Salvation's in the message. Well, I don't know how to answer their questions. They don't know how to answer their questions. Except for also, let me tell you something, believer, you do know how to answer the questions. You know what the answer is? Jesus. Now look, for me, I like to categorize things. This is how I work. Right? When I say I like to categorize things, I work like this. All things fit into 4 categories. All questions, all objections, they fit into 4 categories. And the 4 categories go like this. Who am I? Why am I here? What's wrong with the world? How can what's wrong be made right? Based on that, that's where we start the gospel message. So someone starts asking you questions, here's their view. I guarantee you this is their view. Now, they package it in lots of different packages. Sometimes it's wrapped in red with bows. And then sometimes it's like just put up in garbage, right? It's covered in banana peel and old coffee grounds, right? But it's the same argument, right? Just some people dress it up. Who am I? Well, the world